Cool. Thanks for doing that. This is a talk that I've been probably working on for 6 years. And you guys get to be the first ones to participate, I'd like to say. There are things in here that are really raw to me, that are things that I want to share because I think they're important. There are things that you might not agree with, and that's totally fine. There are things that you might not like. That's also totally fine. But first off, I want to just challenge you, and I want to say, well, are you actually satisfied? Are you satisfied with your life? Are you satisfied with the people that are around you? Are you satisfied with the way that you take action? Are you satisfied with the way that you make decisions in life? It's an important word, satisfied, because it means different things to different people. Are you empowered? Now, I chose this word because I've been picking the brains of Kyla that sits right here, who does happiness. And this is what it's all about. This is about finding your happiness as much as anything. But are you empowered? Are you allowed to do the things you want to do? Are you empowered to do things that you dream of? The things that people say, that's stupid, why would you do that? You do them anyway? And on that note, are you leading? Are you actually leading a life that you have chosen? Or are you living someone else's life? Are you just following along and filling in the pieces? And these questions is something that I'll try and help you with, because I'm guessing most people here, I'm not going to have a go at you, but most people here have some niggling thing that they want to fix, something they want to do, something they want to be better at. How many people here have families? Almost everyone. Exactly, right? It's important. It's number one thing. There's nothing more important than your family. But having said that, how many people here wish they had just a little bit more time to do all the other things? Exactly, right? So, and this is for everyone. Like, I'm no more special than you. I have the same number of hours every day. I mean, I've tried buying more hours on eBay, but it doesn't work. You know, we have the time we're given. But make the most of it. And family is a huge, important part of it. And I mention that now up front because this is all with family in mind. Who here has ambitions? See, less people, right? And I want to change that, because ambition is what makes you live, in my book anyway. Ambition to excel, ambition to be more in your company, ambition to start your own company, whatever it might be. It's important to have ambition. And who wants more? Like, who wants more than what you have now? Exactly, that should be all of you, seriously. Who wants to do more, be more, achieve more, help more, whatever it is? Who wants to, who wants more? Now, a few weeks ago, a guy I know on Twitter, and I'll keep him anonymous because I don't actually know him personally, but I know him personally through Twitter. Does that make sense? We all have Twitter friends. And this guy tweeted this: need a new job, getting desperate now. To me, this was not about getting a new job. This was a guy that went, God, I'm sick of everything. I need something new. I need to change, right? And he's not alone. There's tons of them. If you just look, now this is just Twitter, right? I use Windows Phone, so I can't get Snapchat, but I'm sure there's lots there too. Look at this guy here. I'm ready to die. That is pretty severe. And this, I just happened to look at these. This is 30th of July. I'm not specifically looking for, catastrophic quotes or anything. There are just tons of them. So there's something wrong, right? There's lots of people that say, and this was just need a new job I searched for. And I'm sure all these people actually don't need a new job. They need a change. So just for context, and I normally don't introduce myself as much because no one really cares. If I'm talking about technology, it doesn't matter. But in this case, I think it's important because I am now headed towards living the life and leading the life that I've chosen, right? So I run a small software company, a consultancy, Crazy Dane Software. I made that logo, by the way, because I'm the graphic designer. I'm also the chief architect. I'm the admin girl. Well, it's just me, right? I'm everything. And I want it that way. I want to choose what I do and what I don't do. I help organize a conference called DDD, Developer. Has any of you been to DDD in any city? Hey, look at that. That's awesome. We've been doing it for 7 years now. I say we. Alex that sits in the crowd is a major part of it as well. And there's a bunch of other people. Like, there's no way you can do this on your own. But I love doing it. And I want to keep doing it. I write for Pluralsight, so I do video courses. Yesterday, Carly and I recorded another, what's called play-by-play, where we're talking about workplace happiness. I thought, how appropriate. Sorry? Well, it was grumpiness, but we were turning it into happiness. Like, we're going, well, you can't be grumpy, so we're going to make you happy. I'm Microsoft MVP, which means that I'm really loud and I drink the Kool-Aid of Microsoft, but I'm actually employed by Microsoft. And that's important because it opens lots of doors and allows me to have a different hat on when I talk to client and I try and help people. I'm a guru. That sounds really fancy, doesn't it? But it's for Guru.io, which means I'm helping them start up a platform, writing articles. And in fact, not to advertise too much, but you can win a mentoring session with one of 5 people where I'm one of them. And Alex is one of the others as well, actually. If you want to. I promise there won't be too many bad dad jokes involved. I'm on the Nouveau Insiders program, which means they send me stuff because I talk about it, because I am loud about things that I'm passionate about. And that's important because they recognize that I'm really, really happy in what I'm doing, and I'm happy sharing, right, just like I am now. I write for SitePoint, which is a Melbourne company that is now global. I'm doing a series of HoloLens development articles, and I'm consequently doing a HoloLens talk tomorrow. Sync Fusion. I've just signed to do an ebook for these guys. I've always wanted to write a book, and I'll get into that much more in a minute. So I do all these things. I do all the things that I really love and I'm passionate about doing. And it's important that you do things that you're passionate about doing, right? But it doesn't stop there because I also am a member of 3 car clubs. I love classic cars. And I love getting, well, not so much in the mud, but driving through the mud is all right. But I organize cruises with BMW Club, and we have an Evo for racing and all this sort of stuff because I love it. We run a B&B, bed and breakfast, up in the high country in Victoria, and we have a small car, classic car business, restoring and selling parts and whatnot. And my point with showing all this is not saying, hey, look at me, how good I am. I'm just saying I have the same amount of time as everybody else, but I choose to do all these things because I'm passionate about it, because I love it. Oh, and there's this guy. I have no idea what he's doing there, but I have a clone, because he is 100% copy of me, unfortunately. And I spend as much time as I possibly can with him. And it's important. Family comes first, right? And I do get to live here, which I'm pretty proud of, because this is an awesome place. Absolutely fantastic. It's not for everyone. It's out in the middle of nowhere. But it's peaceful, it's quiet, has amazing internet now. Come to my talk on Friday at PopConf and I'll tell you all about that internet. But before we get into all the good stuff, I want to start at the beginning. And when I say beginning, it's about 6 or 7 years ago. That was a beginning for me. It was a beginning of what I am now. It was, let me just here, make sure I got everything. I had a house, right? I thought I had it made. I thought I had a fantastic life. I had a really nice house. The house was on top of a hill, overlooking a national park. I had windows, big block of land, in a nice, quiet street. Really good. It was really nice in the outskirts of Melbourne. I had a job. I had a fantastic job, actually. I love cars, and I got to look at car data every single day while doing development. So my development test data was cars. How fast did they go, how many doors, how many colors, and so on. It's perfect. Like, I really, really like this job. And I had a car. I had the car that I wanted. I had actually chosen the car that I wanted, I thought. But on the outside, people that knew me said, oh, you're doing well. Man, you've moved to Australia, because I'm Danish, because you didn't know. You moved to Australia, did all these things, and I did well at uni, because I was told to do well at uni, so I did really well at uni. But all the time I was like this. And you might not know it, and I don't want to be too poo-poo, but this is going to be some of you. This is so easy to do. Put on a face of, hey, I'm happy, I got everything I need, everything that society dictates. Society says I must have a house and a car and a job, and I do. Hooray! But I wasn't happy. I wasn't content. I had this view. I was working with amazing people, really talented, which is important. Don't stop doing that. But this view from the office was fantastic, and everything was going the right direction. I kept getting better jobs. I kept, actually getting 2 cars, which I thought was amazing. But all the time, there was this little flame, right? There's this tiny flame. And I've always had this flame from whenever I was a kid. I wanted to do stuff. I was the guy at school that whenever someone said, oh, do you want to do that? I went, yep, I'll do it. Yep, me, yep, I'll do it. All the time. I always said yes. And when I grew up and I was taught that society said you must have a house and a car and a job and a wife and whatnot, this flame just got pushed aside, right? Because that wasn't the main thing. The main thing was to get all the check boxes, right? To get ticked off everything. That was the really, really important part I was told by everyone. So there's a catalyst in everyone's life, or more than one maybe. For me, this is hard. I found out my wife was cheating on me. And I don't share this normally, but it's important in this case because it changed me completely. It's not an easy thing for me to admit that I was the wrong one, I was not what she was looking for, and maybe I pushed her away. I've been told don't to tell me those things, but I learned from it. Now this catalyst doesn't have to be something as detrimental as that. It does not. But there are changes in your life that happens for a reason, right? And I must admit, you get freaking scared. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. I had the worst time of my life for about a year. I hated it. But I decided inside, that little flame was still there, and I decided that was going to be my driving force, right? And I had many, many thoughts, not as such crying, but saying, I'm not good enough. What am I going to do? Why am I going to change? I'm just like everybody else. And it wasn't until I met a very special person, who I happen to live with now, actually, that taught me that, no, it's up to you what you want to do. No one's going to tell you what to do. No one's going to help you help you get there. It's all about you. And if you're happy with yourself, everybody else around you are going to see that, and they're going to copy it, essentially, right? So I got through this period, and I started doing this. I started setting goals. Does anyone here have goals? Does anyone want to share? You really don't have to, but does anyone want to share a goal they have? Okay, fair enough. Because goals, to me, are a very, very, very specific thing. Often people say, I've got a goal, I want a Ferrari. And you go, okay, when? Or how? And they can't answer you. Or they say, well, I always wanted to go to Nepal and live like the Tibetan monks. Okay, how? Goals are the most important thing in my life. It's the thing that drives me every single day. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm now speaking to you at NDC. So let's talk about how we do these things, right? Because I promised I was going to share everything that I've learned. Well, not everything, because we don't have that much time. But SMART goals. SMART goals is the most important thing that you can do. And I'm not kidding. Like, if you don't have goals, you might as well just get another job. So SMART they're specific. Sorry, I'm just going to get my notes right here. So the specific, so they're who, what, where, when, and you write these things down. You actually put down, so one of my goals is I want to speak at TED. Are you familiar with TED? That's a personal goal that I have. And I want to do that by the end of 2018. I haven't figured out the how yet. I know that you can submit yourself as a candidate on their website, but it's something that I've thought about the last couple of months. So I'm still formalizing that goal. Another one is that I want a 1984 to 86 Ferrari Mondial with the original TRX wheels. Specific, right? Specific. And I have dates and whatnot and all that. They have to be measurable. If you can't measure how far you are, how do you know when you're finished? If it is buying a car, which is something people can relate to, well, it's probably saying in 3 months I'm going to have $4,000. In 8 months I'm going to have, and so on. Or you put it month by month. But as long as you can measure it, it's a goal. If you can't measure it, how do you know when you're done? They have to be attainable. So you need to be able to reach this goal. And as you do this more and more and more, you're going to find out the goals grow and you grow with them. So goals become more attainable and bigger and then more attainable again. And if you don't set goals that are relevant or they are high enough, if you go for low, if you say, oh, I'd like to get the car serviced, it's not a goal because it's not pushing you, right? And they have to be wide and high-reaching enough that you need to push yourself to get there. So otherwise, what's the point? And then they have to be time-bound. I've talked about this before. They have to be a time on them. If you don't have a goal with a time and a date, that's not a goal. It's just a thought or dream. And by all means now, you can certainly ask questions if you want. I'm happy to, that's why I said I want a conversation with all of you. This is my way of doing things. If you have a different way or you don't understand something, please just yell out and I'll ignore you. No, I'll answer it. The most important thing about goals, though, is that you write them down. If you don't write them down, they're never going to happen. And this is scientifically proven, that if you write them down, you're 50% more likely to actually achieve these goals, because if you don't write them down, they just become a thought again. If you write them down and look at them every day, well, they're constantly in your subconscious, aren't they? Every decision you make is possibly on the path to this goal. And I actually have a business study here, that Harvard's business study, so not anyone. Harvard, 3% of MBAs earn more than the other 97%, which is, all right, fair enough. That's going to happen. Someone's going to be the top 3. But those top 3 are also the top 3 that write goals, that have goals written down and follow them. So now we came into money, which we'll get to later, right? And there's one reason that I do goals, and that is do today what others won't. So that's following the goal. You've written down how to get there, right? So that tomorrow you can do what others can't. That is super powerful to me anyway. And obviously I'm not talking about just today and tomorrow, but in general, right? If you stop watching TV, if you don't binge watch whatever, I actually don't watch TV, so I don't know any TV shows. House of Cards is a show. If you stop watching that, or a new series, watch the whole thing, and said, no, I'm not going to watch it. I am going to find out a way that I can online market these things that I do in my free time anyway, for example. There's always a choice, right? And most people would choose, well, I don't want to see all the new episodes of my TV show. If you choose not to do that, and you do what others won't, then tomorrow you can do what others can't, because you planted the seed, right? And this picture, by the way, so that's my 2 boys. And because we did goal setting, we were able to take them to the Berlin Wall, which is where this is, in June. Which was very important, especially for Jordan, who's 10, to understand how other people have lived in the past, right? He doesn't get it in a book. We took him there was a piece of the wall, and you're watching the watchtower from a distance, and you can see what people had to go through, and he got it. Now, there's time for doing, right? It's not that difficult writing down goals and putting them on the wall. The doing bit is the really hard part. But as long as you do a little bit every day or a little bit every other day, and you consistently do something about your goals, you will get there eventually. Again, do today what others won't, right? And sometimes it feels like this. I am not going to kid you. If you set goals that are high enough, you're going to get to a point where you go, oh God, it's a tunnel and I don't know, and there's things everywhere and it's growing and I don't know, is it actually going to get to the end? And you have doubt, no question about it. But if you follow the path of your goal, you are going to get there. Might not be the path that you thought you were going to take, but you will get there. So goals, super, super important. Like if you take anything away from today, it's goal setting. Absolutely, 100%, no question. But how do you get about suddenly doing all these goals? So I'm going to talk more about what I've done, more than the generic stuff we just talked about now. For me, it was networking. Networking for me is the most important thing because I'm a freelancer. All of my work comes through people that I know. I don't get anyone contacting me that I don't know. It's always a friend of a friend, or someone I spoke to, or someone that's seen me at a conference like this, or something. Networking is all about who you know, not what you know. Now, I'm not saying don't be skilled and don't be serious about your work, but being the best C# developer or the best F# Docker compiler dude out there, it's not going to get you any work. It's not going to get you any notoriety if you don't know anyone that knows about it. if you don't tell people about what you've done, if you don't tell people how cool this is, as much as especially nerds don't like doing it. I certainly struggled with it initially, saying, hey, I built this really cool thing, and I think you'll like it, you'll think it's awesome. Because you don't want to go, oh, it's not that good. It's like, eh. But it is, right? You build a cool thing, tell people about it. It's important, networking. And it kind of works like this. So this is, I don't even know what this is, but you don't know where the networking path is going to take you, right? Because there's an intersection coming from over there, and then this thing goes over here, and you just don't know. When you start talking to one person, you're going to end up talking to person number 3 that you never even met, and they happen to know a guy that sits in the office in the building next to you that you just don't know, right? It is like this, complete chaos, but it's eventually something materializes. And then the flip side of this is that you need to learn how to say no, because I couldn't. I'm terrible at saying no. I like helping people, and I like pleasing people, and I like being there for whoever needs it. But if you don't say no, then your life just turns into sort of like a, okay, yeah, I'll do that too. And then you end up like this, completely catatonic, because you can't do it all. You've suddenly said yes to 80 things that are all top priority, and you just give up. You just go, and you do one thing, and then you forget about the other 79. So learn to say no. You don't have to be a bastard about it. But just say, oh, no, that's not my focus. I'm not interested in that. But thank you anyway. Let's talk more. It's really important to say no. Especially as you get better at networking and you do more, you get more people talking to you, you get more things coming your way. That's just how the world works. Another really important point, especially in the freelance world, but in any business scenario or any life scenario, is leverage. Does anyone here know what I mean when I say leverage? Does anyone want to volunteer? You don't have to be quiet, you can yell out. Yeah?
Minimum input, maximum output.
Say again?
Minimum input, maximum output.
That's pretty good. Minimum input, maximum output. I haven't actually heard that one before, but that's very true. Leverage is taking something you're not good at or you don't want to do and get someone else to do it for something in return. Does that make sense? So in this case, this little girl has leverage, right? Because she's winning the seesaw thing, even though there's a big dude on the other end. And the reason is that she probably has, 100 kilograms of lead in her pockets or something, right? Leverage is what you get from someone else to help you achieve a goal. And leverage always has to be a win-win. If you keep taking and taking and taking and taking and taking and taking, suddenly there's no more to take. People will just stop offering their help and their services. The same if you keep giving. If you keep giving to everyone, again, you run into the thing of people just dump everything on you. Oh, do it. Yeah, Lars, he'll do it. He'll be fine. And you end up with all the crap that you don't want. So leverage is, for example, I really want to get into HoloLens development. I love the idea of the HoloLens and the technology. But I don't actually have one, right? And I don't have access to the team in Microsoft. I don't work for Microsoft. But I've found a guy in Sydney that does, who has really good rapport for him. So I've said, hey, I'm going to give you some of my time to do these things that you don't have time to do, which is going to help you look better outwards and help you in your business and lots of benefits. But on the other hand, if you get any sort of really cool projects, let me know. I'll give you a hand. And I get my foot in the door, right? I'm leveraging his position, and he's leveraging my time. So leverage is what makes you do more than you could on your own. It's very important. Okay, focus. This is one I struggle a lot with, like seriously. I put it in here because I'm really not very good at it. Focus is doing one thing for a period of time. I've tried so many different ways of focusing on a task, and I'm not very good at it, but I'll get there. You have to focus on what you're good at. You have to focus your time and energy on something that will give you a result. If you keep focusing on things that don't work, well, you're not going to move anywhere, are you? That's when you get back to the leverage thing. You might need to find someone that's good at it. Focus is a bit vague, I must admit. It's kind of hard to verbalize it, but it's me not using my phone when I'm playing with my son for half an hour. It's me not talking to a client when I should have been cleaning the B&B. Actually, I don't clean the B&B. That's a bad example. But when I should have been fixing something on the B&B, right? It's important to maintain that focus, or at least recognize when there needs to be a focus. But I'm certainly not very good at it. Does anyone have any good ideas for focusing? Because I have got a couple. Anyone know Carl Franklin's Music to Code By? Yeah? There's a few. Check it out if you're interested. They're 20-minute or 25-minute instrumental pieces of music, and you put them in your headphone, and you do their thing for 20 minutes until the song stops, right? It's a way of getting you into the groove. It's called Music to Code By because Carl's a coder, but it works for any task. Like, it's not just for coding. And I know, Carly, you've used it. I've used it. So that's one way of doing it. There's another thing with the Pomodoro technique, I think it's called, where you have 20 minutes to do a task, and you set a timer, and there's a whole system around it, which I can't remember. But there's certainly lots of helps, ways of getting help to maintain focus. And then this one, I like this one. Not because it's the A team, that's kind of cool, but you need to surround yourself with experts, right? And sometimes this gets a bit controversial because you need to be around the people that you want to be like. Does that make sense? So if you want to be, let's say, the best community events guy in Melbourne, we need to hang around the dudes that do community events, right? You need to learn from them, and you need to pick their brains on what they do and learn from them. You can't be the best F# developer if you hang around a Python team, right? It's that simple. You need to find people that are better than you. For this example, we have a bed and breakfast, and I am shocking at gardening. I mean, I can cut stuff with a chainsaw, pretty good at that. But we need help. We needed an expert, so we've hired a caretaker that works for us. And you say, oh, but that's cost more money, but we'll get to the money in a minute, right? But the essence is, well, if I can earn more than I pay him in the time he does it, well, I win. Surround yourself with experts that are willing to help you, that are willing to share knowledge. Because chances are, if you're the smartest guy in the room or the smartest girl in the room, you're in the wrong room. You will not proceed, you will not advance, you will not learn anything new if you are the smartest guy. So I don't know how he does it. I don't know anyone that's smarter than Mr. Hawken. But you need to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, experts. And this is where the controversial bit comes in, because you might have a friend that you love hanging out with. You might have a friend that comes over to your house every weekend and it's really funny. Great guy, great girl. Like, it's really always pleasant when they're there, but they are on Centrelink. They have no ambition, they have no desire to do anything else, they just want to hang out and have fun. I love the word fun because it never means anything. My advice would be get rid of that friend, and it's harsh. But if you want to be more than you are right now, you need to surround yourself with people that want to be more as well. And this might be a friend that you've known for 20 years. It might be a friend that you want to help. But that's the leverage thing, right? You give and give and give and give. You need to cut them loose. It's harsh. I've learned this. I've had friends in the past 7 years that I've decided not to be with. And I've decided not to hang out with them anymore. If they contact me, sure, I'm happy to talk. But I've decided I'm not going to spend my time with them because it doesn't help me as a person. It only makes me give and give and give. And I can't do that. I can't keep doing that because it's not fulfilling for me. And as we saw at the start, I'm not satisfied. I'm not leading what I want to do. That's the harsh part. And that's why I said lots of people don't like this. Because it's hard, you know. No one said all this stuff is easy. It's taken me 6 years or 7 years, right? All right. Now, I'm running a bit ahead of schedule, so I'm happy to take questions if you have any. Because surely there's thoughts whirring everywhere here. Yeah? So?
In terms of when you write your goals down, do you feel compelled to share them with someone else? Or do you do that?
So the question is, when I do the goals and write them down, do I share them? Like, do you mean family or friends or just... Anyway, it depends on the goal, to be honest. If it's a goal that I need help with, I'll probably tell everybody that wants to hear about it so they know what my intentions are. But there's also very, very, very personal goals that you set because that helps you become, let's say, different in what you are, that you might not want to share. But I'll certainly share goals, absolutely. Like friends will attest to this, that I'll be pretty verbal about it if there's a thing that I think more people should know about. It certainly doesn't have to be, exclusively for you. And who says you can't have two people on a goal? If you have the same goal, absolutely, leverage, working together, right? So, yes, I'll get to you, Kylie. I can't, yes, so.
If you achieve your goal only partially, do you work harder to achieve it, or do you modify the goal?
So the question is, if you have a goal and you only achieve it partially, do you modify the goal to then say, I've done it? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, or do you work harder to achieve the same goal, or do you modify the goal?
I very rarely modify the goal because there's a reason I set that goal. And some goals come out and you say, wow, that wasn't actually too bad. And the thing is, as soon as you set a goal and you mentally say, well, I'm going to achieve it, then it's almost doesn't matter what obstacle you get to. It doesn't, you find a way around it. A good example I had with a goal is we were going to buy a house, the house you saw before. And we weren't looking. We found it, pretty much by, accident almost. And we looked at it and went, nah, we're not going to move. Not going to move. And then we decided, after looking at it a couple of times, we go, no, we're going to move. And there was no way we could get finance for it. No way. So we went, no, we're setting a goal, and there was a time on it, obviously, because, contracts, you have to pay by a certain date, you default, you go to court, all this sort of stuff. And we went, no, there's a really good chance that we can afford it, and we'll find a way. It wasn't completely blind luck. And we signed the contract without finance. And that was scary. Holy yeah, it was scary. But we didn't modify the goal by the time we found out that we couldn't really afford the place. We went, no, we're having this place, and we're going to find a way. And we then burnt the bridge behind us, essentially, and we got there. We found a way. So I would not modify goals unless something fundamentally changed. No. Yes? Have I reached goals by the set date? Or when you don't? Yeah, obviously you reevaluate. Because there'll be factors outside of your control. So if you don't reach your goal by the certain date, yeah, you haven't achieved the goal, but it becomes a new goal. And that's why I said they have to be attainable, right? There have to be some realism to what you're trying to do. Like I'll say, I want to be a professional footballer. Well, I'm 37, so that's not going to happen. That's not realistic, right?
That's not your only problem.
No, that's true, yeah. See, I could be a karaoke star, though. No. So goals, absolutely, yeah. Do I treat short-term goals different to long-term goals? No. No. Short-term goals often just means that they're not set high enough. They should be that goal that you're setting should be a path to a greater goal. Because when you set goals, you need to measure it, right? And that could be one of the measuring points. Like when I wanted to start speaking in public, because I'm comfortable standing in front of a crowd, but I was terrible. Like I didn't know what I was doing. I couldn't put a talk together. I had a way of doing it. Say, okay, I tried and tried and tried, and that didn't work. Then, okay, I'm going to go to Toastmasters. I'm going to learn how to speak to an audience and construct the talk and get feedback and everything. And then I'll do user groups, and then I'll do smaller conferences, and now I'm here, right? So I didn't go to here from yesterday. It took 6 years. Again, do today what others won't. So tomorrow you can do what they can't. Yes?
How do you actually narrow down your wish list to actually make up or formalize a goal?
Ha.
Every time it's like when you start, you have like 100 different things that you want to do.
I am so glad you asked that. How do you narrow down, and you said wish list. Yep, no, it's key is that you have a wish list, right? You have things that you get, I'll do this and this and this and this and this. The truth is once you start looking at it, and prioritize them, there are things that you want to do more than others. There are things that you just say, well, that's just not going to happen. It's just a wish, is exactly what it is. And you need to prioritize your goals, obviously. And there's nothing wrong with having more than, having a bunch of goals. Absolutely. As long as you can manage it and you don't go, and you become Jim Carrey in a catatonic state, right? You don't want to do that. But narrowing it down is very much an individual journey. And you might find that you set a goal and then after 6 months you go, actually, I don't need that goal anymore. You know, for whatever reason, my life changed, something happened, tick it off, get rid of it. But it's a constant process. Every day, if you look at them, every day when you evaluate where you're going, you need to understand that your goals can change as well, right? So they're the same that day, but if something happens, you can certainly adjust them, but only in the positive, right? You can't suddenly say, I didn't want that Ferrari. Holden Barina, I like it, you know? Don't do that. So, yeah. Kylie had a question as well. Yeah, I'm good. Yep, I'm good.
I'd be interested in your thoughts on how you have dealt with the imposter syndrome, the feeling of am I good enough, why listen to me, things like that.
The question is, how have I dealt with what's called the imposter syndrome? Does people know what that is? No? Yes? A few? The imposter syndrome is when you say, yeah, I want to do something, but then inside you kind of feel like, I'm not good enough. There's no way I can do that. Why did I say yes? I'm just an imposter at this point, saying, yeah, look at me. And I've dealt with that many times. And I don't know if it's a personality thing, but I'll just normally just say yes to things if I want to do it, and then I find a way. So you get that first initial imposter syndrome sickness where you go, oh, no. Especially when I did my first NDC talk in Norway. I spent 4 days not eating. Like I just felt like, why am I here? I don't belong here. It did go really well though. So there was nothing in it, but it's such a common thing. That's what I do. I kind of power through it. It'd be different for everybody. You might need to write down, well, actually, I am good at all these things. So you write a list of 100 things that you're good at, and you go, I'm actually pretty awesome. And you kind of get through it that way. Because everybody has potential, right? I don't feel like I'm better than any of you guys just because I'm here talking about it. Everybody has the potential. It's just a matter of getting it a system so you can actually fulfilling all these dreams and wishes. Sorry, I said wishes, I shouldn't. Okay, was there one more question? It was, yeah.
Say that a catalyst is required in order to change the way that you live your life. Like
So,
you spoke about
uh-huh.
being the reason why you change.
Yep.
And I think you're on a higher risk profile, but willing to take more risk.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way. But so the question is, do you need the catalyst in your life to make this change? And often it's the bigger the catalyst, the bigger the change. Often, not always, but often. I'd say yes. I mean, if you do the same thing every day and nothing is pushing you one way or the other, whether it's yourself or something else, you're not going to change. If you don't have a friend that says, you've been writing that same Perl script for 20 years, like, what the hell are you doing? You know, you got to have something that pushes you and prods you. And the universe eventually will do it, whether you react to it or not is a different matter. Are we sick of looking at Mr. Hawking now? Sorry. So the next thing I had is persistence. Because there's this theory of there's 98% of the population, and then there's the other 2. The 98% are the ones that think they're happy or that don't really pursue anything. And I always use the example of a job. I don't want to poo-poo having a job because it works for many people. It just doesn't work for me. But having a job in the Dilbert sense, right? You know, you're trudging through it every day. Persistence is what the 2% has. And that's what I want you guys to be. I want you to be this 2% of the population that grabs life by the hair and do more. Because for me, you have really crap days. Of course you do. But the overall thing of it is that you just go from win to win to win to win, and occasional loss, and then win again. But there's the risk that we were talking about before. The bigger your catalyst is, the more willing to take risks you are. But persistence is what makes you get through all this. Because you will have people, I call them the birds, that peck and peck and peck at you. So you have this goal, you share it with someone, they go, nah, that's never going to happen. Now, why would you do that? That's not going to work. Nah, that's the birds. They keep pecking at you, right? And eventually they'll win. And these birds are often the people that would never do it, that would never take the risk, that would never take the leap. And those are usually the people that you get rid of. It's hard when it's your spouse. But persistence, as it says, the fact of continuing in an option or course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition. So it's a matter of saying, yeah, that's your opinion, but you know what? I'm going over here, right? You can have your opinion, and I really don't care about it because I know where I'm going. Rather than go, oh, you think? Oh, yeah, I should have worn different jeans. You're right, yeah. You know, you've got to have persistence to believe in what your goals are is what you need to do. Because otherwise you're just going to go either around in circles or you go back to not having goals and you sit and you watch House of Cards for a whole weekend. Right? Again, please don't watch TV, especially not reality TV. Actually, if you watch My Kitchen Rules, out. I just don't get it. It is, oh God, yeah. Persistence, right? So persistence is really hard sometimes because if you have family or you have people you trust, people you respect that keep saying, no, you should do something else, then it gets hard. Like you start questioning yourself and you go back to the crying guy on the couch. You go, I'm not good enough. Why am I doing this? But persistence is what is key. And again, your journey might go a different direction than you thought initially, but you keep moving forward, right? Okay, here's the one that I think most people, certainly people ask me about all the time, is income, right? Because we all need money to pay bills, we like eating, we like sleeping in a bed, all that sort of stuff. The truth is, if you make income your number one focus, and say, I need a new job because I need no more money, you're never going to get out of that mentality. Money is always going to be what rules you. And you'll never have enough. You'll never be satisfied. You'll never lead the life you want. So I've had people ask, because this year I did a talk in London, and then I did a talk in Brussels, I did a workshop in Oslo, and then I went back to Oslo, and then I went to Germany, and then I am here, and I'm going to Perth and then Sweden again in November. How do you afford all that? Like, that's stupid. Why? Income. Hey, you got to work and stuff. And in that particular case, it's, well, leverage. Again, leverage. Say NDC, pay for flights accommodation. So I don't want to pay to be here and talk, but I'm happy to do it because it allows me to share my knowledge with you. And it allows me to let you know that I have this awesome thing I want to share, right? That's what we were talking about before. So that's leverage, where NDC gets you in the door to allow you to listen to what I have to say, whether you agree or not. But income is, again, it's the 98% and it's the 2%. And you always hear about the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Is that right? And it's true. It is, because the rich, let me just disclaim that I'm by no means rich. It's not, this is based on books and whatnot, right? The rich understands how to earn money, and they understand how to leverage, and they understand that your time is valuable, right? So there are essentially two ways of income. There's two ways that you can make money. Does anyone want to venture a guess of what that is? Yep.
Sell time.
Yep.
Selling time and creation of product and providing value or service.
It's pretty good, pretty good. Sell time or sell a product, which is, in my world, that's you've got active income or you've got passive income. Active income is when you go to work in a job and you sit there from 9 to 5, you get paid from 9 to 5, right? And let me just kill this myth of a secure job. No such thing exists. Doesn't. Your company get bought, someone get run over a bus, it's just not a secure job, right? It might feel secure because you've been there for 10 years, but don't let yourself into that frame of thought because then you won't do any of the things that we talked about earlier. But a job is active income. Active income is you trade time for money. So you give some time and you get some money. Some people give some time and get lots of money, like movie stars, but once they stop doing the thing, they don't get paid anymore, right? And this is tricky when you're a freelancer because you don't have sick leave, you don't have holiday pay, if you don't have a client for 2 weeks, well, you don't get any money for 2 weeks, right? And so I've decided that that's not going to be for me solely. So I still do consulting, because that's how I pay the bills. But on the other side, we have passive income. And this is the frame of mind you need to get into. And that is an income that keeps generating even though you've stopped doing the thing. Right? So for me, it's Pluralsight, as an example. I do a course once for Pluralsight, and they keep paying me commission for people watching it. Right? So I might spend 100 hours getting not paid, because you don't get paid up front. But those 100 hours I've done once. And then I keep getting commission. As long as people want to watch my courses, they keep paying. Per hour. Actually, it's per minute, really. Writing a book, which is, by the way, a terrible idea. If you want to know about how not to write a book, talk to Alex. Writing books a bit, there's 2 people I know that actually makes a living off it. But it's another way that you can make royalties from things. That you produce a thing and it keeps paying, right? Does that make sense? Does anyone here not have a residual or passive income? There's a few people. Okay, that's actually pretty good. Unless you're lying. But you want to have these residual incomes. It could also be investment properties. You get rent every week from people renting your property. Whatever it is, it's important so that you spread out your risk, right? And that's the way to do it. That's the way that you get more freedom. You get to lead the life you want to lead. And you have empowered yourself to do things and take chances because you have that thing, the income thing, that's dealt with. You don't have to worry about it. And if one thing drops off, if you have 7 things that you do, it's annoying, but you're not going to not eat tomorrow, right? And again, this is not overnight. This is, again, do today what others won't, so you can do tomorrow what they can't. It's really important lesson. Okay. Now, your turn. And this gives, work now. Very good. Action. Who here is going to go today and write down one goal? One person? I want everybody to do it. I'm not kidding. Because why else did you just spend an hour with me if you're not going to do anything about it? Right? You already have. Well, excellent. Yep. Perfect. Then make sure you have them printed out and look at them and follow them and all that. I'm really passionate about this, and that's why I'm being such a bastard saying, no, do it. Because I know it works. I also know it doesn't work if you don't do it. So please do that. Please take that one action at least. Because if you have a goal, all the others will follow, right? Because those are the building blocks you need to achieve that goal. Yes, sir.
Do you limit how many goals you have in progress?
Not really, no. So do I have a limit on how many goals in progress? What do you mean in progress? Do you have goals that aren't started? No, I'm generally asking, like, okay, no, I thought maybe you had an idea. I thought, hey. No, but it's generally, if I set a goal, it starts now, right? And I have a path of how I want to get there. And you can get overwhelmed if you keep taking on things, but that's when you learn to say no. But really, if you don't take action, you're going to end up with this guy, right? But if you do take action, I'm going to give you one of these. I'll even put your name on it, right? And I'm serious. If you want help with this, I'm here. Like, tweet me, email me, ring me. Don't knock on my door at night. That's creepy. But yeah, I'm more than happy to help. So if there's no other questions? Yes? How do you learn to say no? That's a good question. How do you learn to say no? Once you've had that experience of going, oh God, another thing, I'm going to pass out, then subconsciously you go, okay, I'm not doing it anyway. I said yes, but I'm not doing it. And that then, for me, turns into a thought, okay, that wasn't fair on that dude because he just asked me to do something. I went, yeah, sure, I'll do it, no problem. And then I'll walk away and go, no, I'm not doing it. So you learn to, actually if you don't shrink wrap things, if you don't sugarcoat it and tell people, no, I'm not doing it because that doesn't suit me or that's not my focus, or you should probably talk to someone else, or why aren't you doing it yourself? People appreciate that. And if they don't, then they need to probably work on themselves. Yeah. You come first, right? You come first. If you don't know where you're going, if you're not satisfied, how are you going to help anyone else? How are you going to show your kids how to be satisfied? How are you going to show your kids how to set goals? Like, there's no reason kids can't do goals. Absolutely. Jordan, who's 10, had a goal of learning to ski because I went skiing when he was about 7. And that was before we moved to the new house. Now we live 80 minutes from a ski field. So I don't know if he pushes that direction, but he's learned how to ski, right? So absolutely, go for kids as well. Yes, down the back. No. Sorry.
When you achieve a goal, do you find it's important to stop and celebrate it, or is it just bang on to the next?
Oh, absolutely. No, you celebrate it. Take every win. Wins are yours. If you achieve a goal, especially if it's like right now when you set a goal, absolutely. Crack open a bottle or something, or do a dance, whatever makes you happy. And by the way, happiness is very infectious, right? If you start smiling, do this on the train, right? Because I learned this from Carly. If you start smiling on the train and just sit there and just start, laughing, then see, you always start smiling, right? It's super infectious. But by the way, we did a play-by-play yesterday on workplace happiness, and there's so many good things I want to go through now, and we don't have time. So go watch it, because it's like there's nuggets galore from Carly. It's fantastic. But now, I'll seriously. Oh, is that your talk?
Plug. Don't be Dilbert, survival strategies for uninspiring.
Yeah, if you like my talk and if you appreciate what I have to share, Carly does all of this for the workplace. How do you, not be Dilbert? It's fantastic. I saw it in Oslo. Really good talk. How was it rated, Carly? 3rd. That's right. 3rd talk of all. But nothing else, I guess. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate your time. And please reach out if you need to. Thank you.